let's talk about Mountain West. So Utah State had their big win on Saturday. That wasn't the only game. It was a very busy day. In fact, it featured a monster showdown on CBS, and they delivered. It was a great back-and-forth game. New Mexico and San Diego State in the pit, and at noon on Saturday, New Mexico getting the win, 81-76. And with that win, that pulled San Diego State down from that tie with Utah State. Now the Aztecs and Lobos are tied for second, but that put Utah State in the driver's seat in the number 1 seed all alone. But big game there for New Mexico to keep their Mountain West or their NCAA tournament hopes alive. A rough one for San Diego State, who have now lost 3 of their last 4. But yeah, this was a big win for the Lobos to keep themselves in the running, not only for the Mountain West but also for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, New Mexico, who were a couple of games back not too long ago, looking like things would be really tough for them. They still had games, were a couple of games back, and still had games against San Diego State and still have one against Utah State coming up on the road at Utah State. But getting that win over the Aztecs, especially where the Aztecs and Aggies have dropped a couple of late, where Utah State losing to Nevada and San Diego State. San Diego State, as you said, have lost 3 of their last 4. I mean, lost 2 of their last 3 heading into New Mexico.
Yep.
So that's made New Mexico sneaky title contenders.
Yeah, Bullion with 24 points and 18 rebounds.
Yeah, that right there was, I think, probably the performance. Maybe I can't say performance of the week because there was a guy who put up 42 points, and we'll get to that game. But yeah, just amazing effort from him. Where I'm continually amazed that the Aggies pretty much shut him down when they went to the pit, made him look like a nobody essentially. When this is a guy who, I guess I shouldn't say nobody because he had 17 points and 7 rebounds, but not he had 4 fouls and just not nearly the kind of impact that he can potentially have. And I felt like a lot of his points were more garbage time stuff. But yeah, just the size that San Diego State has actually weirdly enough struggled with at times, where Magoon Guath is just kind of a shadow of the player that he was kind of projected to be, where he is way too often just not an impactful guy. Miles Heide is inconsistent. I think Pharaoh Compton's got some room to grow into, but then, he only scored 2 points where he was living in the paint against the Aggies.
Yeah.
And then, Reese Dixon Waters, who's been a fantastic offensive engine, just wasn't there. And so that was, I think if they had a good game from Reese Dixon Waters, the Aztecs actually probably win the game. But they were missing his impact, and then they also had a really bad free throw shooting night. So
yes, they did. Yeah, a lot of free throws in that one. 36 attempts by New Mexico, 22 by San Diego State.
That's the worst kind of game. That's just your classic Mountain West game where you have these 2 great teams, 2 great defenses, 2 offenses that are capable of going off. New Mexico's done that a little bit more than San Diego State, but when you have, 58 free throws, that's not offense.
No.
I didn't come here to watch, Diet Shea Gildress-Alexander. Not to say that these guys are foul baiting, but that's what it's just becoming, is guys who are just constantly going to the free throw line. So it was kind of nice watching the Aggies and Lopes is the referees just let them play. A couple of ticky-tack fouls, but that's literally every game. They let them play. And then they didn't let him play in this game for the most part.
Yeah, San Diego State had a double-digit lead in the first half, but New Mexico kept chipping away at it, and then they take the advantage. But really, it was back and forth. This was anybody's game down to the final possession, really. And so it was a fun game outside of all the free throws. A good game for the Mountain West to be featured on CBS to get the type of attention for that game. But New Mexico did the Aggies a big favor in helping place the Aggies in sole possession of first place. That just means the game the game tomorrow and the game Saturday, those are still very important games for Utah State. Nothing is locked up yet. They're still very much in flux.
Yeah, but the thing that they did was they made it so the Aggies only have to win one of their next 2 games.
Right. They're guaranteed to still have a first round bye in the Mountain West tournament at this point. So they're guaranteed to be in the top 4. but they just have to win one of their last two to at least have a share of that number one seed. And then when it comes to tiebreakers, kind of depends on which game they win and some of the other things that happen. But Utah State's in a great position in the final week.
Yeah, so win one of these next two games, and you're going to be holding a trophy. Like they'll pull out the trophy from storage. The one dirty secret is that every single school has a basically blank Mountain West championship trophy just hanging around. And if one of their teams clinches it, they just pull it out of storage and hand it to them and take a photo op with it.
There you go.
So it's
easy accessible.
It like the same trophy that volleyball pulled out for their like little halftime or timeout, like standing ovation and all that.
For gymnastics?
Yeah, for gymnastics, excuse me. Well, with volleyball did the same thing when they brought theirs out when they clinched in the regular season. But like, if the Aggies clinch the Mountain West Championship, I mean, I don't know if they clinch it against UNLV. Like, I don't know how they handle that. Like at the home game in New Mexico, do they do it before or after all that? But they'll pose with a generic Mountain West Championship trophy, the same one that gymnastics pulled out the other day. That's kind of the fun thing. But yeah, that's something that the Aggies can clinch. They're 40 minutes away. Which 40 minutes? We'll find out. 40 minutes against UNLV or 40 minutes against New Mexico. Things went pretty well the last time the Mountain West Championship for the Aggies came down to beating New Mexico.
A game that turned out to be sneaky competitive, which nobody really saw coming, was Wyoming and Air Force. Like suddenly Air Force is finding its groove for stretches offensively.
Define finding its groove.
Well, they put some pressure on in the last couple of games. They've been able to score a lot more recently. But Wyoming, it wasn't a very high scoring game, but Wyoming wins it 66-62. But Air Force made a game of it. So kudos to the Falcons for not just laying dead and letting the season roll out. They're still out there. Guys are still playing. They're trying to. They still have guys on that roster that are trying to play and have opportunities. So give them some credit for staying in there. Cam Sanders with a really, really solid game for Air Force.
Yeah, they're staring 0-20 in the Mountain West. Again, they'd be the first ever and potentially last ever Mountain West team to go 0-20, depending on how realignment ends up working for the Mountain West. I don't think they'd play 20 games. But yeah, they may become the first and potentially last team to go 0-20, and they're playing like they're desperate not to do that.
Yes.
Dang near got, they came really close against San Jose. We talked about that maybe being their last like real chance, but they lose that game by 6, and then getting closer at Wyoming, like on the road. But now their last 2 games are against Grand Canyon, home against Grand Canyon, and at Nevada. And I don't think either of those games are going to go particularly well for them.
I'll be cheering for the Air Force Falcons anyway. After that, it was Colorado State beating San Jose by 12, 85-73. Boise State taking care of Fresno State, 69-53. Future Pac-12 matchup there. But then we got to the night games, and both of them were close. Both of them were pretty exciting. Besides Utah State and Grand Canyon, the other one on national TV, this was on CBS Sports Network, Nevada at UNLV, the in-state rivalry game, and it was juicy. It went to overtime. I was pulling for a double overtime. I wanted to see UNLV just keep running out of gas because that's who Utah State plays tomorrow.
I was following this game like we were in the middle of the press conference with Jared Calhoun, and I had the stat broadcast pulled up. Like I was trying to watch it on like Hulu, but like the internet wasn't good. Like it was really choppy, so I just had the stat broadcast pulled up. Just coach saying something, I'd go back and he probably thought I was looking at stats or something. I guess I was looking at stats, but I was looking at ones
You're
from
not
a
really
different.
Preparing your next question.
Yeah, I was looking at whether UNLV was going to pull off that win there.
Yeah, and they did. And it was a monster performance by Draw Gibbs Lawhorn. This guy has scored, 74 points or something like that in his last 2 games.
And over his last 9 games, I think it's 9 or 10 games, he's averaging like 29.7 points. So like a hair under 30 points for basically a month.
Yeah. Guy was 8 for 14 from 3, 42 points in 42 minutes. Pulled down 4 boards, dished out 2 assists, had 3 steals and a block. Did foul out of the game.
Yeah, that made things a little iffy for UNLV to some degree, but they got some key plays. Tyron Jones, I believe, was the one who hit
Yeah.
the essentially the game-winning shot.
Driving to the hoop and got that basket, which pretty much sealed the deal and only gave Nevada, was it like 3 seconds or 2.5 seconds in overtime to try to tie it or win.
Yeah, didn't have a whole lot, but they end up not being able to pull off the tie or the win on a last-second shot attempt there in overtime. So, Nevada, they certainly put up a big effort themselves, and not getting it from Corey Camper, where he goes 2 of 12 in this game. This is one where if he shoots anything better than he did, I mean, literally, because this game went to overtime. If you do that in regulation, then Nevada might win. But making up for Corey Camper's lack of scoring was Von Weems, where he came in as a pretty highly touted JUCO recruit. He lit it up. I think he averaged just under or maybe just over 20 points per game. I forget which junior college he came from. I want to say it was one in Idaho or something. But he's not really shown that volume scoring, which isn't atypical of junior college guys. You're not going to go from scoring 15 a game at JUCO to scoring 15 a game at D1. Sometimes it happens, but not most aren't able to make that clean transition. But dude's a bucket maker and went out there and made some buckets, got to the free throw line, got a bunch of rebounds too. He's a bigger wing. He was a great rebounder at the JUCO level. So this is a really nice game where Nevada showed some of its depth of scoring, although obviously they didn't get the win in a game where they had all this momentum. They'd beaten Utah State and San Diego State
they were
within
really
a week.
one of the hottest teams in the Mountain West.
But then they go on the road, and apparently they're just not good on the road, or at least can't finish games on the road, because they've been competitive in a lot of these late games, but just can't seem to make the clutch plays. They have guys that just go ice cold. Corey Camper goes 2 of 12. Tayshawn Comer, he goes 3 of 12 from the field. He scores on a handful of 3-pointers and gets to the free throw. He somehow got 15 points.
Well, Elijah Price only had 1 bucket.
Yeah.
He had 10 points, but 8 of those points came at the free throw line.
They had to live at the free throw line, which is, that's kind of UNLV at this point. They commit so many fouls. They send teams to the free throw line a ton. Of course, they themselves shoot a lot of free throws, so they just muddy the game up and turn it into a free throw contest. So that's this game. I'm a little upset or sad that I shouldn't say upset, but I'm just a little sad I didn't get to watch this because I was obviously watching another game.
Yeah.
I was a little preoccupied. But yeah, just kind of a classic Mountain West game in both the best and worst way, considering how many fouls there were.
Last hour, we were talking about Utah State players and how they didn't need to lean on their guys quite as much. And I get it. There's overtime here, so that adds to these minutes. But MJ Collins had, 31 minutes? And Mason had 34. Nobody else got north of 30 for Utah State. Contrast that with UNLV. Walter Brown, 43 minutes. Jacob Barnaby, 34 minutes. Dry Gibbs Lawhorn, 42 minutes. Howie Fleming Jr., 42 minutes. And then Tyron Jones off the bench with 32.
And a lot of those guys would have played more minutes had they not fouled out.
Yeah, that's true.
Hamilton only plays 23 minutes. I think a lot of that was due to foul trouble and then ultimately fouling out. Tyron Jones, he plays 32 minutes, but of course he had 4 fouls. That was a 6-man rotation.
Yeah.
Really Isaac Williamson played 8 minutes. And then Al Green, I think he came in. I think the only reason he did come in was because of foul trouble. He played 1 minute, or I don't know exactly when he showed up, but they had a 6-man rotation. That was because either Al Green or Isaac Williamson were pretty much only playing because of guys fouling out. I don't know when Al Green came in, but that's something that can maybe benefit the Aggies, where UNLV just wore themselves down in this game, playing a tight game, guys fouling out, guys playing 40-plus minutes, and the Aggies maxed out at 34. Some of these guys only played half the game.
Yeah.
And we'll see if that ends up being a positive for the Aggies.